Wanted is the most successful show in television history at catching America's most dangerous fugitives.
Tonight, his luck runs out.
More than 1,100 suspects captured because of your tips. Now, we are back. And we need your help again to bust the most ruthless fugitives on the run today. We're using incredible new crime-fighting technology and social media to connect us at lightning speeds. All night, we'll be sharing new information about fugitives on the loose right now, maybe living right next door to you. First, Tamera Williams, accused of murdering her loving boyfriend.
We hope to find her wherever she is to face what she's done.
Next, Larry Chisholm, a drug dealer who made 2 violent prison escapes, reportedly robbed a bank and hasn't been heard from since.
I thought they were going to kill me.
And Chris Burns, a greedy, desperate financial advisor who police say stole millions, then vanished.
He took everything.
He's ruined their future.
Have you seen this man? Tonight, you're our best shot at catching these dangerous fugitives. This is America's Most Wanted.
Good evening, I'm Elizabeth Vargas, and this is America's Most Wanted. We are excited to be with you tonight with a whole new lineup of dangerous fugitives that we need your tips to find. We've captured 1,186 fugitives since America's Most Wanted premiered in 1988, all because of you. And tonight we want that number to grow. After last week's premiere and the tips we received from you, we're confident it will. Keep them coming, because there's no time to waste. Even the smallest tips could help. We also saw your reactions on social media, like this tweet. My mom and dad watched AMW back in the day, and now I'm joining the legacy by watching it for the first time in 2021. Happy to hear a new generation is watching. We have new high-tech crime-fighting tools to help us identify and retrace our suspects' steps, like our life-size AMW criminal avatars featuring age progression technology. We also have our team of expert profilers and investigators, the FBI, U.S. Marshals, all monitoring your tips. But most importantly, we'll hear from the people affected by these crimes, the victims, some of whom are with us in the studio tonight. It's the victims that motivate me to do what I do and to continue the mission set by our original host, John Walsh. We're going to get them justice, and we're going to do it with your help. Remember, you are the most important tool we have. You are our eyes and ears on the ground. All right, let's get started. Our first case, Tamera Williams. In 2018, her boyfriend of 6 months went missing, and days later, his remains were found scattered on the side of an Ohio interstate. But by the time police had enough evidence to arrest her, Tamera Williams was long gone. Maybe you can help us find her tonight.
Cuz Dave just got here. You all right, baby? That's Cuz right there, man. You know what I'm saying?
My brother David was loving. He was my best friend.
Why you play so much?
David was a jokester. He always had us laughing.
Get him.
That was real cute.
David was a great father. His son, DJ, was David's life.
David worked overtime to make sure DJ had everything to succeed both on and off the field.
His everyday life was amazing. But everything changed in March of 2018. David and Tamera knew each other since high school and reacquainted through a mutual friend. She would be laughing in your face, smiling, but it was always something about her that did not sit right with me. I knew she wasn't gonna be good for my brother. Tammy was obsessive. It wasn't obvious to everyone, but it was obvious to me. She wanted David all to herself.
Tamera and David weren't together long, just a few months before they were moving in together, and then it wasn't too long after that the relationship seemed to unravel. We learned that Tamera Williams was quite territorial when it came to David. She was very into this relationship, maybe more into this relationship than David was. If she couldn't have David, nobody could.
Tammy had David's phone cloned and would send text messages to other females pretending to be David to see what he was doing.
David and DJ's mom were not together. When he wasn't at his mom's, he was at his father's apartment. DJ receives this very strange text from his father that he's not feeling well and DJ should not come over. If David and his father went a day without talking, that would be unusual. A text message saying, "Don't come," very strange.
DJ decided to go to his apartment to check on his dad. He saw Tamera coming out of the apartment with garbage bags.
Dad! The first thing DJ notices when he enters the apartment is his dad's clothes strewn all over the bed, which is unusual because he knew his dad was neat and tidy.
He also noticed there were cleaning supplies left out in his bathroom. When Tamera gets back, DJ asked her where his dad was. Tammy said he wasn't feeling well, he was out taking a walk.
DJ goes back to his mom's, texts his dad to check on him, and he gets a text back that says, "I'm sick, my throat hurts, I can't talk."
DJ told me the next day. That made me concerned. I decided to check David's apartment, so I called my husband and he said, "I'll meet you there." When we got to the apartment, the door was not locked. I started to freak out. I called my dad to let him know what was going on.
When I walked into David's bedroom, I noticed that the bed was unmade and the bed had been moved. Tasia looked under the bed. She found empty peroxide and the big red stain. Across the bed, I saw the bullet hole in the bottom corner of the door. I told everybody, don't touch anything, everybody out of the apartment. I realized from my training as a military policeman, this was a crime scene.
No one has seen the 39-year-old since Saturday, the same day his son, David Carter Jr., stopped by his dad's place.
His girlfriend was there, but I didn't see him there.
My brother was missing, and Tammy did not come to help us look for David, which was strange. She was always with my brother.
Everyone was wondering what happened to David Carter.
If you were in Melvindale, Michigan, or Metro Detroit and may have seen Tamera Williams or anything suspicious relating to David Carter's disappearance in the fall of 2018, please contact us right now. Even the smallest tips could help. Former prosecutor and legal analyst Yodit Tewalde is here. And Yodit, we actually have some new photographic evidence about Tamera Williams that we can break tonight.
Yes, so with the help of U.S. Marshals, our investigators were able to grab this image here, the last suspected sighting of Tamera Williams in a fish market in the Bronx just 6 months ago.
6 months ago,
Yeah.
Quite recent.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a huge break in the case because this is the first time we've gotten a photo of Tamera since David's murder.
All right, based on that photograph, as well as the many other photographs of Tamera, we've managed to put together our AMW 3D criminal avatar of Tamera. Tell us what we're looking at here.
So we're looking at a woman who's 42 years old, about 5'5", and weighs 190 pounds. But the most distinct feature, Elizabeth, is this huge tattoo of roses on her left arm that goes all the way up to her shoulders.
That's quite large and quite colorful, hard to miss.
Yep. Large tattoo, but she has several smaller ones, one on her right foot, back, and one on her thighs.
We also know from our profilers that Tamera Williams changed up her appearance quite a bit and did it quite easily.
She did the switch up. She liked to wear her hair in different styles, colors. As you can see here, she's got the short, dark brown pixie cut, then the, long blondish locks. Then she's wearing it curly, straight. So she's able to do the switch up, and that makes it harder for her to be recognized as well.
We have these 4 pictures. There are many, many more. Tamera Williams liked to take photos of herself.
She did. What we know about Tamera is that she liked to be out there. She liked to be seen. She was social. She loves to post selfies, almost one every single day. This photo here was actually the last one she posted, September 27, 2018, just a few days, Elizabeth, before authorities believed that David died.
You're a prosecutor, former prosecutor, spent many hours in the courtroom. How rare is this for a woman to commit a murder like this?
You know, it's really rare. I mean, data shows us that most homicides, up to 90%, are committed by males, right? Against other males. So it's really rare that a woman would want to commit murder.
All right, Yodi, thanks. If you've been in the Bronx or in New York City in the last few months and Tamera Williams looks familiar, contact us right away at 1-8333-AMW-TIPS or amwtips.com. Throughout the show, we have crime alerts from all over the country, and we need you at home to help identify and capture these suspected criminals who have all been caught on camera. This crime alert is so unusual, investigators say they've never seen anything like it before. Detectives say this pregnant woman walked into this Fife, Washington subway shop. She wasn't there for a sandwich, she was there to rob the restaurant. She told the employees that she was from the corporate office and needed the store's cash because another location had been robbed. She then pretended to call headquarters to approve it.
Hi. Yeah, I just got here.
Do you recognize her voice? When the employees began to get suspicious, she told them she had a gun and rushed out the front door to a getaway car. Here's another look at her. Investigators say she was wearing a gray jacket, black yoga pants, sneakers, and was pregnant. This happened in January, so she will still be pregnant or may even have a baby by now. If you recognize her out in public and have information about this woman, send us your tips at 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS or at our website, amwtips.com.
Next, police are about to discover the gruesome details of David Carter's murder. Tamera Williams is nowhere to be found, but now an AMW exclusive. A new sighting. Could this photo lead us right to her? And later, this acclaimed law student running a secret drug ring, escaping custody twice, and getting violent. Now, he's on the run, and we have new clues to help catch him.
Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. After David Carter went missing, everyone had questions for Tamera Williams, but she wasn't answering them.
Days go by with no sign of David, and then we get this news report out of Ohio.
Routine grass cutting along Interstate 75 led to the discovery of human remains.
90 miles south of Detroit, a crew cutting the grass makes this gruesome discovery of bags and body parts strewn along the highway. Melvindale police contact Ohio State Patrol after they see this law enforcement bulletin with information about what they found.
They send the human remains out for DNA testing.
The DNA comes back. It's determined that these are the remains of David Carter.
When they told me it was David, it shattered me.
At this point, Tamera is definitely a person of interest. Police start searching for Tamera Williams. They receive a tip that she's at a friend's house, so they set up surveillance and actually are able to get her when she's walking to her car. Tamera Williams denies any involvement in the disappearance of David Carter. Police have confirmed the remains of David's body, but they're missing one piece of very crucial evidence. They still don't have his head. They need his head to determine the cause of death. They also don't have a murder weapon. At this point, they only have circumstantial evidence.
During a break in the interrogation, Tamera is placed in a temporary holding cell while police check on her alibi.
It's believed she fakes this seizure to somehow try and get out of being charged.
She was immediately transported to a local hospital.
The prosecutor doesn't believe there's enough evidence to charge Tamera Williams. So she checks herself out and disappears. Eventually, David's head is recovered and they're able to determine the cause of death, that he's been shot in the head. Then they know for sure it's a homicide. It's believed Tamera planned all this. She did this in cold blood. The next day, she dismembers the body and dumps the remains along I-75.
In October of 2018, Tamera Williams boarded a train bound for New York. She stayed in a hotel called the Neptune Hotel. The next morning, she walked out and was never seen again.
My family has been devastated by this.
My brother didn't deserve this. I want to see her turned in and justice for my family.
So even though she was caught on security cameras 6 months ago, Tamera has not left any kind of digital trail in the last 2.5 years. Joining us now in the studio is David Carter's sister, Tasia, her husband, Derek, and U.S. Marshal Andrew Battersby, who's been on this case. Tasia, what made you suspect her from the start?
For someone that had been with my brother every day, didn't go anywhere without my brother for 6 months, for her to not to come around when he's missing, that I knew something was wrong.
Derek, did you share those suspicions?
Oh, definitely. It was the same feelings that she had for a person to be around David at family meetings and gatherings all the time, and then when he comes up missing, she's nowhere around. So
we keep hearing how possessive she was. You both saw that a lot?
A lot. He would make comments saying like, let me go back to the party before my tether go off, because he knew that she wouldn't be too far behind coming to check to see what he was doing.
How has the family been? How have you guys managed to get through this?
We have always been a strong family, and we have got through this together. Before my mom passed last year, she prayed and prayed for justice.
Well, even though she didn't live to see justice, you're still working every day?
Every day. I always said that the whole world would know my brother's name, and we would get justice for him.
Marshal Battersby, you consider Tamera Williams to be a dangerous fugitive.
Extremely dangerous.
Why?
I believe she'll do it again in the right opportunity.
Really?
Yes.
It's unusual for women to commit crimes like this.
Really unusual. But I think she's the type that would do it. She's very possessive, and I believe there's probably a male helping her right now that has no idea what she's done.
We know that she hasn't left a digital trail under the name Tamera Williams. Is there an alias she might be using?
While in the Bronx, she did use a credit card.
At that fish market?
At the fish market, as a LaToya Williams.
LaToya Williams, so she might be going under that name?
Yes.
And what is your gut instinct, your detective instinct telling you about where she might be right now?
My gut feel has always been the same, that I believe she's in the New York area, in the Bronx, and somebody is helping her.
Do you think you're going to catch her?
Absolutely. 100%. I believe she will make a mistake, and we'll be there to get her.
Tasia, what would you say to Tamera if you were watching the show right now?
Tammy, you know me, and you know my family, and you know that we're not going to rest until David's murderer is brought to justice.
Tasia, Derek, I'm so sorry to meet you both under these circumstances. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Again, if you have seen Tamera Williams in the last few years in Michigan, Chicago, Atlanta, or New York City, you can help us bring justice to David Carter and his family. There's no time to waste. Contact us now. You can go to our website at amwtips.com or call us at 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS. And you can always choose to remain anonymous.
Just ahead, one of the most infamous criminals ever profiled on America's Most Wanted, shooting his way out of a bowling alley to escape the law. 40 years later, we have new information. And later, a banker gets greedy, targeting innocent families, accused of stealing millions from their life savings before abandoning his own family for a life on the run. You can help us find him.
Welcome back. On the last America's Most Wanted, we profiled murderer Glenn Godwin, who hasn't been seen since he last broke out of prison in 1991. Viewer Jake Sundahl tweeted, "This Godwin guy's been on the lam for the last 30 years. Hopefully, tonight will be the beginning of the end of his freedom." 30 years is a long time, and that's why right now is a better time than ever to catch these criminals. But we can't do it without you, so keep sending us your tips. In our next case, this won't be the first time he's been featured on America's Most Wanted, but we certainly hope it'll be the last.
It was like my life was in slow motion. I was very afraid I was going to die.
My name is Larry Porter Chisholm. I've already killed 2 people. One more won't make any difference, will it?
So how did this studious, unassuming young man studying law turn into a devious, audacious criminal.
Larry Chisholm was the last guy that you would expect to be a hardened criminal. He was a nerdy, intelligent 26-year-old weeks away from getting his law degree.
Larry Chisholm was a really smart guy, but he had an alter ego.
Between classes, he was organizing a drug ring using teenagers to smuggle heroin from Mexico. In 1974, he was arrested for armed robbery and smuggling heroin and sentenced to 40 years in prison. While Chisholm was in Turney Prison, he was a model inmate. He mediated disagreements between guards and inmates and was the editor of the prison newspaper. Chisholm maintained his quiet, unassuming identity, but kept in contact with the outside world. He started thinking of ways to get out. To reward his and some of the other inmates' good behavior, the prison planned an outing at the local bowling alley.
Chisholm was a criminal mastermind. He always was figuring ahead.
He had a friend go there ahead of time and stash guns and ammo in the bathroom.
I noticed there was something going on in the bathroom area. So I peeked around the door. When I did, Chisholm was standing there with a shotgun. He was in the process of loading it. Just as I turned to fire at him, he fired at me first. When it hit me, it felt like just a gush of hot air. When I come back to myself, I looked down, I had my weapon. Well, I started shooting. I shot him in the hand, but it didn't take him down.
Meanwhile, an 18-year-old woman was crouched down, hiding in the snack bar.
I was on the floor behind the counter when Larry Chisholm pointed his gun at me. He and 3 other inmates stole some car keys.
Let me get the car.
Larry Chisholm.
Get up! Hey, stay back!
He dragged me out, led me out the door, and put me in the car. The escapee started shooting. The guards realized that they had a hostage, so they did not return fire. It was chaos. The whole time, my thoughts were that they were going to kill me. And I can remember at one point thinking, I wish they would just go ahead and do it. But eventually they decided to let me go. And they left town.
If you were in the Nashville or Dixon, Tennessee areas in the fall of 1978 and may have seen something or seen Larry Chisholm at any point since then, please contact us. We want to hear from you. No clue is too small. Yodit Tewalde is back, and we're going to bring in our AMW criminal avatar with age progression to show us what Larry Chisholm would look like today.
Okay.
So, what are we looking at?
So we're looking at a guy who's now 72 years old, and he was last reported weighing in around 160 pounds, right, at 5'10". Now, we know that his right hand was shot during that escape at that bowling alley. So he still may have a scar, a mark of some kind on that hand, and he may have actually lost a part of his thumb as well.
You can see that on the avatar. The tip of his thumb is missing.
Right,
Okay.
It looks like a nub, right?
Right.
Right. All right, well, the cool feature about these avatars is that we can actually show our viewers what Larry Chisholm would look like without the glasses, without the mustache, because he could completely change.
Wow. The mustache especially really changes his face. We know he always wore glasses, but he could have gotten contacts or LASIK surgery and will no longer be wearing them. We also know that he's got the ability to really ingratiate himself. Like he was able to convince prison authorities to give him the bowling alley field trip where the escape happened. What does this tell us about his MO on the run?
This guy's clever. He's smart, right? I mean, he was in his third year of law school and was still able to run a drug ring at the same time. He's quiet, he's unassuming, he, keeps a low profile on the inside. And so anybody that can do that in a high stressful place like prison that's heavily surveilled most certainly knows how to fly under the radar on the outside as well. So this guy's really, really clever.
All right. Thanks so much, Yodit. And send us your tips by calling us at 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS or go to our website. Now, you are watching a gas station robbery in progress in the Bronx, New York. Pay close attention to the suspect's hands. You can see black gloves and what looks like a weapon. The NYPD says the robber might be pretending he has a gun, pointing his fingers at the cashier. After making demands, he tries to climb over the counter but stumbles over a wine rack. Then he struggles with the female employee. The suspect got away with about $1,000 cash. Were you at this gas station when it happened? Did you see anything? This is the Citgo station at the corner of Broadway and 260th Street in the Bronx. Look out for someone who's about 30 years old, 5'11", wearing a black jacket with fur, blue jeans, and black and yellow sneakers. You can help take the suspect off the streets. If you recognize him or saw anything in the area, send us your tips. 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS or amwtips.com.
After the break, Larry Chisholm has pulled off a daring escape from prison. And now he's about to outsmart everyone again. But AMW has new information that could land him back where he belongs, behind bars. And later, police say this financial advisor stole millions. Now he's on the loose, living large. You can help take him down.
Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. After our last episode aired, we got many tips from you at home. Keep them coming because there's no time to waste. Even the smallest tips could help. As it stands right now, America's Most Wanted catch counter is at 1,186 fugitives. And with your help, it just might go up tonight. Not only do we thank you, but investigators across the country thank you. And the victims of these crimes thank you. Because it's your tips that make the difference. Go to amwtips.com or 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS. You can always choose to remain anonymous. All right, back to Larry Chisholm, who pulled off a daring plan to escape during a prison outing at a local bowling alley, shooting one officer and taking a hostage as he fled the scene. But his story isn't over.
Larry Chisholm escaped. In a shootout with correctional officers, Chisholm, along with 3 other inmates, grabbed one of the employees as a hostage. And they made their escape. A few days later, Chisholm turned up in Arkansas.
I was on patrol that day, and I heard over the radio there was a stolen truck. I flipped on the siren and started chasing him. Chisholm wrecked the truck. There wasn't a whole lot given to us over the radio, so didn't know how dangerous he was.
Chisholm was taken back into custody.
After only a few months in the Lone Oak County Jail in Arkansas, Chisholm came up with yet another escape plan.
He had another inmate crawl through the air vent, steal the guard's keys, then let him out. They overpowered the guard, stole his car keys, and drove off. A month after he escaped, he surfaced in Cincinnati, Ohio, and his crime spree continued. He walked into the First National Bank, posed as a U.S. Treasury official, showed the president what he claimed was a bomb, and demanded $250,000. He walked out and just disappeared. From there, we know that Chisholm spent years moving around parts of the Gulf Coast. He lived in Mobile, Alabama with a girlfriend, New Orleans, and in 1990, a tip led the FBI to a house in Charlotte, North Carolina.
By the time agents arrived at the house, it was abandoned.
It was clear Chisholm took off in a hurry. He left behind all kinds of clues on how he was managing to hide from authorities. He had laminating machines, books and magazines on things like how to change identity and appearance.
He also left a pay stub in the name of Kenneth Brookins, one of dozens of aliases that he was known to go by.
We know that in December of 1990, he sold his van in Atlanta, and there has been no sign of him since. Larry Chisholm is still out there.
He should not be allowed to be free. He had no regard for anybody else's life.
I feel confident there's some people that knows him, they know where he's at. I wish they would turn him in.
I can make 1,000 mistakes. I just need Larry Chisholm to make that one.
Since his second escape from jail, Larry Chisholm has gone undetected by authorities for more than 40 years. That is a lot of time, and there are a lot of you out there who could have come into contact with him. If Larry Chisholm looks familiar to you, please get in touch with us. Let's check in now with Paul Holes, who helped catch the Golden State Killer. There are a lot of places that Chisholm has been, a lot of anchor points.
That's right, and his strongest anchor point is in Arkansas. That is where he is born and raised. He likely still has family and friends there today. From Arkansas, he moves down to New Orleans. He actually gets into a relationship with a woman there. He's taking odd jobs in construction as he follows a friend from New Orleans up to Mobile, Alabama. From there, he relocates to Charlotte, North Carolina, gets into another relationship with a woman and her kids. He establishes a life. After a couple years, the whole family, including Chisholm, flees. He is next spotted down in Atlanta in 1990, and that's when he sells that van. He clearly has a preference for the southeastern part of the United States.
I'm struck, though, Paul, as you talk about all these anchor points, all the significant relationships that Larry Chisholm has established in all these various cities. Some of those relationships are no longer existing, correct?
That's right. Larry's moved on, but those people will still remember him today.
And those people could recognize him and call in. All right, it's very important for you at home to know that Chisholm is wanted for armed robbery, narcotics violations, and kidnapping, along with shooting and wounding a corrections officer. Contact us at America's Most Wanted at amwtips.com or 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS immediately. And contact us if you have any information on this next dangerous suspect. In this crime alert, watch these three landscapers hard at work in uptown New Orleans on the 400 block of Eleanor Street. But here comes trouble. Look at the white SUV on the right of your screen. Two men armed with guns jump out and rob the landscapers. Watch. The suspect in the blue hoodie points the gun at the victim's chest, literally reaches into the victim's pockets to get his cash, then heads to the truck to take another victim's wallet. The whole crime to catch them. Keep an eye out for these two suspects, one in a dark blue hoodie, the other in a yellow hoodie. The New Orleans Police Department says they drove off in this white Honda CR-V with temporary tags. Take a close look at this car. Were you in the area? Did you see it racing away? They need your help before the suspects strike again. Send us your tips by calling us at 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS or amwtips.com.
Up next, a financial advisor goes rogue. He was supposed to be making money for his clients, but instead, police say he stole it all, millions, draining their life savings, even abandoning his own family to live large on the run. He's still out there, and we need your help to find him. Stay with us.
Welcome back. We've got another fugitive to add to our growing list. Christopher Burns, an investment advisor who was well known in the financial community, even making appearances on television to discuss his investment strategy. But allegedly, he had been stealing from his clients who trusted him, and now he's gone. But you can help us find him tonight.
Chris was really smart. He seemed to be incredibly caring. I always thought, this is a really humble guy.
You know, he walked into a room and you noticed him. He was very friendly. He was very open. He appeared to be very knowledgeable and very trustworthy.
He operated as a financial advisor here in the Atlanta metro area. He also had a local radio show.
You have so much less anxiety while everybody else is trying to figure out what to do.
And he also appeared on national broadcasts.
This economy and this market have proven resilient time and time again.
We gave our trust to Chris for some of our investments. It was the money that I said was the can't lose money because we have an autistic son. We wanted it invested for his future.
He used this money from investors to pay personal expenses. He lived in $1 million house on a lake. He had a boat, cars.
During that time, he came to me and said, I'm $100,000 in debt. Also, I haven't done my taxes in 2 years, and I had no idea.
Burns defrauded dozens of victims, totaling over $10 million. Some of the victims lost the inheritance, their savings, and all that they had.
I lost about $134,000. I thought it was well secured.
Chris defrauded so many people. I found out he had taken $150,000 from his parents. He has ruined their future. The last time I saw Chris, I was done. He said he was going to be back to see the kids. I called his phone twice and it just went straight to voicemail. I called his parents and they said, we haven't talked to Chris in weeks. And it was just in that moment, you know, that I just knew something was really wrong. So I called the police.
Mr. Burns had plenty of time to figure out what he was going to do when he disappeared. Burns is approximately 6'2", 240 pounds with brown hair. He also has tattoos on his forearm, 3 triangles that are interlaced.
If he can pull one over on me, he can pull one over on anyone. And that's a scary thought.
If I could send a message to Chris right now, I would say save a lot of people the pain, especially your children. These are good people. They're not millionaires. I just don't understand how you can do that to people.
Christopher Burns is very charismatic and confident, which helped him deceive a lot of people. You could be next. Contact us immediately if you have a tip about Chris Burns. And Paul is back. And Paul, this guy is accused of stealing millions and millions of dollars. How does he live on and use that money while on the run?
Well, he likely has been skimming money for years and not necessarily planning his escape, but to hide assets. And so he has the criminal sophistication to set up fake accounts in which he's got money moved into and probably has a sizable reservoir of cash that he can access.
Since money may be no object, we know that he could be just about anywhere. Let's go to the fugitive tracker and look at his anchor points first off.
Right. Well, 2 anchor points, of course, Berkeley Lake, Georgia, where he was living, as well as his parents up in North Carolina. Now, after he disappears, his car is found abandoned in an apartment parking lot in Dunwoody, Georgia. He didn't just randomly choose that location. He is a planner. He could have staged a car that he purchased with a fake ID and with cash.
It's a strange place to just abandon a car, but we also have another new anchor point out west.
That's right. His now ex-wife found out after he disappeared that he had been going to Las Vegas once a month for years. She now suspects that he was having an affair out there. Now, that relationship could be a lure for him, But where better for somebody with his financial criminal background to go?
Right. You could launder the money by buying casino chips. It's not unusual to have hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in a safe deposit box in Las Vegas. That happens.
That's right. And all those people he could con out there.
All right, Paul, thank you so much. And if you live near Las Vegas or have visited the Vegas area since October, let us know if you've seen Chris Burns. Remember, he has a distinctive tattoo of 3 triangles on his left forearm. So send us your tips. Specific identifying features like these are so important to finding these guys. One of our viewers tweeted about that very thing on last week's show. The avatar of Eugene Palmer really helped represent the deformed thumb to help identify him for capture. Keep your eyes peeled.
Coming up, these thieves are hitting it big, stealing lottery scratch-offs from several gas stations in Memphis. Can you identify these lucky suspects?
Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. In Tennessee, police are searching for brazen lottery ticket thieves who are targeting gas stations in the Hedge Hills neighborhood of Memphis. Watch these 2 men boldly snatch the scratcher boxes from the counter at the Hop-In convenience store at Summer and Graham on the evening of January 10th. They casually head for their getaway car, a burgundy Nissan. Can you believe these guys? And in the next video, these robbers must be feeling lucky because you can see 2 men entering another Hop-In at Union and Cleveland around 5 p.m. on January 21st, where they steal boxes of lottery tickets and run off. Here's a look at the suspects in that case. They're both wearing blue shirts. They got away in a white minivan. Help the Memphis police hit the big one and get these guys. Here's another look at the suspects. Do you know who they are? Send us your tips at 1-8333-AMW-TIPS or amwtips.com. All right, let's take one last look at the fugitives who are still at large from the cases we featured tonight. Tamera Williams, police suspect she murdered her boyfriend, dismembered his body, and then scattered it along an Ohio interstate. She's now 42 years old. She has a large rose tattoo on her left arm that goes up to her shoulder. She was last suspected to be in the Bronx, New York. Crime Stoppers is offering $5,000 for information that leads to her arrest. Larry Chisholm, on his second AMW appearance, is still on the run as one of the U.S. Marshals most wanted. Quiet and unassuming, Chisholm is now 72 and is known to have several aliases. He was last seen in Atlanta in 1990. The U.S. Marshals are offering a reward of up to $25,000 for information that leads to his arrest. And Christopher Burns, 38 years old, he's allegedly stolen millions of dollars in life savings from his victims. He may or may not currently have a beard and has a distinguishing tattoo on his left forearm of 3 black interlaced triangles. Send us your tips at 1-8333-AMW-TIPS or at our website, amwtips.com. Coming up next week on America's Most Wanted, this couple ran a successful boating business until one of their passengers on a family vacation died on a boat that officials say was too dangerous to be at sea.
Once the boat began to go down, it was on the bottom in under a minute.
The 2 were charged with manslaughter, but they fled sailing into the sunset and have been on the run ever since. I'm Elizabeth Vargas. Thank you so much for watching tonight. Let's catch these fugitives.
I'm John Walsh, and I've dedicated my entire life to locking up the worst criminals. Since 1988, we've caught 1,191 fugitives.
We're tracking down one of the most ruthless gangs of lawbreakers we've ever gone after,
including several of the FBI's most wanted. And we've reunited dozens of missing children with their families. But the job continues, and this time, my son Callahan joins the fight. With your help, we're going to put more low-life criminals behind bars, including these that you'll see tonight. Up first, Gordon Machik thought he made a new friend in Eddie Perez, but the first day that they had plans was also the last day the police say Gordon was ever seen. Can you help us find Edgardo Luis Perez? Then, This high-level drug trafficker helped an infamous prison gang destroy a small town in Georgia. It's time to get David Young behind bars where he belongs. And finally, years of tension between a man and his ex-girlfriend's son reached a tipping point and ends in murder. Now authorities need your help to locate Tajon Gill. America's Most Wanted is the original true crime series. You can run, but you can't hide. Hello, everyone. I'm John Walsh.
And I'm Callahan Walsh.
And this is America's Most Wanted. We are back tonight with a new roster of fugitives that we really need your help to find.
Our incredible team of investigators, both local and state police and the FBI, are right here, ready for your tips. Remember, no tip is too small. Call 866-AMW-TIPS or go to amwtips.com. We promise you can remain anonymous. Now tonight, we have a very special guest. Cold case investigator Payne Lindsay is here to discuss our first fugitive. Let's get into it.
Now, in 2001, a 56-year-old Michigan man went missing under suspicious circumstances. The day he disappeared was also the day he had planned to spend with a new friend, 19-year-old Eddie Perez, a new friend who police say happened to have a shady past. Take a look.
Gordon was a soft-spoken gentleman.
In 2001, Mr. Metrick was a former Chrysler employee who was a designer.
Gordon could work with any kind of medium. He was a creative genius. Jim was Gordon's partner. They lived together over 25 years because we went so often from their house to our house. We wore a path through the woods.
Jim was in Florida to meet with the contractors in Tampa to start building their dream home.
When Jim was in Florida, Gordon had called Jim and told him he was going to spend the day with an individual named Eddie. Gordon had met Eddie at the gym, and they were going to go on a bike ride together. On October 22nd, 2001, it had been several days since Jim heard from Gordon. He had called him numerous times, and Gordon hadn't answered the phone, which was completely out of character for him. And later, Jim received a phone call from their credit card company. They indicated there was numerous transactions that were in Mexico.
I got a phone call from Jim who was worried about Gordon. The next day, I told him that I'll go over and check it out.
Gordon?
And nothing seemed to be out of order. And there was no luggage missing.
Gordon?
Jim asked me to put in a missing person report.
Jim immediately flew back to Michigan.
When detectives responded to do a walkthrough, they discovered numerous things that weren't right to Jim. Jim stated a large butcher knife was missing, and detectives discovered a 6-foot piece of carpet cut out in the basement. In addition to that, they observed an antique steamer trunk was missing. Using an alternate light source and luminol, they discovered a large portion of blood present on the cement floor where the carpet had been removed. There was also heavy drag marks in the cement floor that we believe was from the steamer trunk. During an exterior search of the home, they found a tarp in the back of Gordon's van, droplets of blood on the tarp, and heavy drag marks inside the van on the carpet that are consistent with the drag marks on the cement floor. It leads detectives to believe that we have a homicide investigation. Detectives had learned from Jim that Gordon was going to spend the day with an individual named Eddie he had met at the gym. That definitely sets off alarms with detectives. There's more to this than what meets the eye.
I want to talk about the first red flag that something wasn't right in this case. That call that Gordon's partner Jim received about their credit cards being used in Mexico.
Exactly, and that's what first raised suspicions around Gordon's whereabouts. But anytime you get a call that there's been a charge you didn't make on your credit card or a bill for an item you didn't buy, pay attention, investigate further, and check your credit report on a regular basis.
Now, Gordon went missing in 2001, and things move a lot quicker these days, especially with identity theft. So protect yourself by staying aware.
Now, we still have a lot to learn about Perez, but I want to make sure that the viewers know what he looks like now, more than 20 years later. Let's take a look at an AMW age progression of Perez. And here's another one with longer hair and a goatee. Take a good look.
Now, when we come back, friends and family of Gordon had a feeling that something bad had happened that day. But they were about to find out how bad it really was. And we get a chance to talk to a cold case investigator and podcaster, Payne Lindsay, and hear his take on this heartbreaking story. Plus, one of the biggest drug gang busts in Georgia state history. Now we need your help to find the only one authorities haven't. High-level drug trafficker David Young. And later on, a terrifying attack in an underground parking garage in Los Angeles. And it's not the first time this guy has done this. Now, you could be the reason this lowlife gets put behind bars where he belongs. And remember, you can make a difference. Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. The circumstances around Gordon Matchik's disappearance were definitely suspicious, but once his friends and loved ones noticed a large piece of their carpet and a knife from the kitchen missing, the panic really set in. Something wasn't right. Let's see what was wrong with Gordon's new friend, Eddie Perez.
During the search of Gordon's house, detectives observed Gordon's day planner, and inside that day planner, on October 20th, 2001, and the day we believe Gordon disappeared, was the name Edgardo Perez with his phone number listed. And we believe Edgardo Perez is Eddie, who Gordon had met at the gym. Detectives looked into Edgardo's criminal history and discovered that he was on probation for impersonating a police officer and robbery. When detectives searched Edgardo's residence, they found numerous books inside his bedroom. How to become a fugitive, how to make fake IDs, and how to steal someone's identity. After Gordon's disappearance, he called Gordon's stockbroker, and on that call, he impersonated Gordon with the attempt to liquidate his stock account.
Can I get your name, please? Gordon Matchik. I'm trying to liquidate a couple of positions.
He was unsuccessful.
Typically when we see an identity theft today, it is a remote crime. People are accessing your computer to take over your identity and steal your finances. Mr. Perez's alleged con was essentially a very old one where they slide up next to the victim and get them to trust them and then defraud them.
When detectives interviewed Edgardo's friends, they indicated that he searches out older gay men because they are easy targets to steal their money and identification.
He had used Mr. Matchik's credit card to buy a flight to San Diego. He was spotted in the San Diego airport on surveillance footage. We were able to track Mr. Perez crossing over the U.S. border.
The last credit card charge on Gordon's credit card was to a hotel in Tijuana, Mexico.
Mexican National Police attempted to locate him, but he had already left the hotel. Mr. Perez was last seen with another male holding his hand shortly after he had arrived in Mexico. So it's believed he was likely targeting this individual for a similar crime.
Someone had murdered Gordon, put him in the trunk, and disposed the body, which to this day, no one knows where the body is. What I would like to see is we find Eddie Perez, and he is convicted and spends the rest of his life in prison, rotting away.
Now, this case may be over 20 years old, but it's never too late to answer questions here on America's Most Wanted. We've seen it a couple of times, haven't we, Cal?
Absolutely.
All right, now we're joined by cold case investigator and podcaster Payne Lindsay. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you.
Likewise.
Tell us about a cold case you helped solve.
Yeah, the first season of my podcast, Up and Vanish, was about Tara Grinstead from South Georgia. It was a decade-long mystery, and eventually the podcast shook the trees hard enough in that small town that someone came forward with a tip that ended up resulting in 2 suspects being arrested, 1 for her murder and both for disposing of her body. The most that I can do as a journalist, investigator, is just piece together the information.
I went through it, 27 years it took to solve my son's murder, and basically solved it with some friends ourselves.
There are some parallels between the Machik case and with your case from Georgia. You harnessing that community and getting those tips. How do you think the small town community here in this case can help solve it?
I mean, I think that it's only natural for some people to feel afraid to get involved in a murder case.
Right.
They're worried about their own safety, their own lives. Everyone has work to do. They have to go to school. They have to go take the kids here and there. So I think people are rightfully hesitant sometimes, but I think that you can do the right thing, and maybe it's as simple as a quick phone call, a quick text, and then that was that one missing link that solves everything.
No matter how inconsequential it seems.
Right,
it could
it
be
usually
the
probably
one
does look
thing.
inconsequential, but
Could
it's
be-
not. Yeah.
Now, the last time he was spotted, he was holding another man's hand. Have you come across criminals in the past that sort of repeat similar crimes?
I feel like, especially if you're aspiring to be a con man, right? I don't think that you're going to change very much. I think that if you're starting at that young of an age, that's going to be a part of who you are for a long time, if not ever.
A lot of fugitives on the run will try to change their appearance, but what's difficult to change oftentimes is your voice. Let's replay the audio we heard of that phone call, and you tell me what you hear.
Sure.
Can I get your name, please? Gordon Matchak. I'm trying to liquidate a couple of positions.
So what stands out to you?
From his voice to the way that he talks, I would imagine that someone who's come across him, or maybe even been conned by him before, would pick up on some of these details, and maybe that's what we need to solve this.
You're doing good work. You're getting justice for families, and you're getting some bad guys off the street.
Absolutely. When I was 9 years old, I was watching your show with my mom, and I guaranteed it had a major influence on, 1, probably why I want to do this in the first place, but 2, the concept that you can shake the trees and get information from the public if you just really hit it hard and tell them that.
And get a bad guy off the streets and get some solace for the family. Keep it up.
Thank you. You're the GOAT, so.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Have you seen Eddie Perez? He's now 41 years old with black hair and brown eyes. He's 5'6", and when last seen, weighed 140 to 160 pounds. Perez has ties to Michigan as well as Indiana, but was last spotted in 2001 in Tijuana, Mexico. A reminder for our friends south of the border, we need your tips too. 866-AMW-TIPS or amwtips.com. You can always remain anonymous.
Up next, authorities bust a massive drug gang in Georgia, one of the biggest in the state's history. But in order to close this case for good, they still need to find one gang member that got away. And later on, a showdown between a young man and his mother's ex-boyfriend, and with one of them dead. We'll learn about the story behind this cold-blooded crime and why authorities now need your help to find it. But first up, we need your tips to solve crimes happening all over America, maybe even in your own neighborhood like this one. An ambush in an underground parking garage in an apartment complex in North Hollywood, California. 2 men, one with a gun, accost this couple. The first asks the man for his watch, as the second suspect runs in, holding his arms, pushing him into the wall, and as the man resists, attempting to fight back. The first suspect robs the woman and then returns, forcing a gun into the man's stomach. Fearing for his life, he backs down as they take his watch and appear to empty his pockets. Police have identified one of the suspects as Deshaun Dow, a black male, 20 years old. In the past year and a half, he's been arrested 5 times for robbery and managed to post bail at each turn. They even suspect he's responsible for the same type of incident that happened before at this exact location. Let's get this guy off the street once and for all and identify the guy he's working with. If you have any information about him or his whereabouts, call us or go to our site. Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. You know, so many out there struggle with drug addiction. And in the past few years, this country has seen the number of deaths from overdoses skyrocket. Thousands of families have been left without their loved ones and without any answers. Now, behind many of these tragic losses are massive criminal organizations with absolutely no regard for human life. And in one small town, that organization was the Ghost-Faced Gangsters. Take a look.
Brunswick is located on the coast of Georgia, down at the very southeast corner. I would say it's got a lot going on for what some people view as a small town. It's known for its history, dating back all the way to the beginnings of this country. It has the barrier islands and the shrimping industry.
Despite Brunswick being a picturesque community, in 2020, they started to see an uptick in drug-related deaths.
We really saw methamphetamine hit the streets here in Brunswick. We were responding to an increase of drug overdose calls, and just the daily call volume that we were receiving was pretty significant.
Cops say one of the main reasons for the surge of drugs in their community was a regional street gang called the Ghost-Faced Gangsters.
The Ghost-Faced Gangster Gang is a prison gang that originated out of the Georgia prisons, and they have ties to violent crimes such as murders, robberies, kidnappings, amongst other things, distributing narcotics into the communities here in Georgia.
We're seeing now that the Ghost-Faced Gangster organization, their influence is being exerted outside the prison. Their numbers are expanding into Florida, the entire state of Georgia, and Tennessee.
Despite the Ghost-Faced Gang being on the cops' radar for over 10 years in Brunswick, in December 2020, they made the arrest that would soon be a major blow to the gang's operation.
We identified an individual by the name of Matthew Guest as a distributor in our area who has ties to the Ghost-Faced Gangster Gang.
Once they had Guest's cell phone, they started to identify more members.
Looking at his telephone devices, one of the things that we uncovered was that members of this organization were using Facebook Messenger to coordinate logistics of their operation.
One of the key players authorities discovered in these social media transactions was Rachel Bird.
Rachel Bird, the drug kingpin, was commonly referred to as the Ice Queen.
Police say one of the gang members who brought kilos of meth from Atlanta to Brunswick was a drug mule named David Young. He had priors going back almost 20 years for everything from burglary to gun charges.
Guys like David Young are violent individuals that do what they got to do to make money and expand their territory.
David Young was also known as Chaos. He was working with Rachel Bird,
basically helping her set up and distribute narcotics in other cities as far as Atlanta, Georgia, and south as Jacksonville, Florida. This operation was well beyond the jurisdiction of here in Glenn County. We realized we needed to bring this to the attention of the FBI.
You know, it's really incredible that the Ghost-Faced Gangsters started out as a prison gang and within 15 years transformed into a major player in the southeastern U.S. drug trade.
I think what most Americans may not know is how efficiently these prison gangs operate from behind bars. The influence that they have in the outside world is much more powerful than most of us could ever imagine.
Prison gangs are extremely well organized and have constant communication with the outside world. It's a really intricate network that they've built over the years between the people inside the prison system and the people out on the outside who carry out all their orders.
This scumbag, David Young, is just one of way too many. And the fact that he's still out there and could easily be doing this somewhere else should make us all very angry. We gotta find this guy, and quick.
Now, when we come back, the FBI is on to the Ghost-Faced Gangsters, but we'll learn exactly how deeply they are ingrained in small towns all over the Southeast and how much damage they cause an entire community. Plus, in Omaha, thieves stripped multiple Chevys in the middle of the night, taking over $6,000 in parts. Can you help us find them? But right now, we're going back to the America's Most Wanted vault and a similar case to the Ghost-Faced Gangsters. Roland Campbell, a former fugitive, was part of a criminal organization called the 40 Thieves. These guys were doing 2 robberies a week and averaging 20 grand for each one of them. We had to broadcast this case 3 times before he was captured. It's a really interesting story. Watch this.
For 5 years, we've been chasing one of the most dangerous organized criminal enterprises in the country, the Gang of 40 Thieves. In October of 1991, a New York robbery task force arrested almost all of the 40 Thieves. But Roland Campbell, possibly the most dangerous of them all, slipped away. 2 months later, Campbell was arrested on drug charges in Maryland. He disguised himself as another inmate who was scheduled for release. With his new look, he walked right out of jail. We broadcast his case 3 times. Your tips told us that from Maryland, Roland Campbell fled the country and resurfaced down in San Jose, Costa Rica. In handcuffs, he was driven off to face authorities.
Now don't forget, you're our partner, and it's your tips that can put even more of these dangerous fugitives behind bars. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. Now, we just saw law enforcement begin to zero in on the prison gang, the Ghostface Gangsters. But the damage it caused, especially by 2 of its members, Queen Pin Rachel Bird and high-level trafficker David Young, was far more than anyone could have ever imagined. Let's watch how they were able to take them down in one of the largest drug busts in Georgia history.
Typically in these large-scale investigations, you try to identify all the members and identify all the criminal activity that's occurring before you start arresting key members.
With investigators' vast resources and evidence uncovered through the gang's communications, authorities soon had everything they needed to start bringing the Ghostface Gangsters to justice.
The FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office obtained an indictment against 76 individuals for narcotics distribution, which was the largest indictment ever obtained in the Southern District of Georgia.
Arrests soon followed, and up first was the Ice Queen herself, Rachel Bird.
To this date, all the members that were indicted have been accounted for and arrested except for David Young.
Authorities believe that as long as David Young is at large, he could be setting up a new operation, distributing deadly narcotics and putting another community at risk.
Drugs from people like David Young and the Ghostface Gangster dealers unfortunately resulted in death.
Rebecca Kane and Michael Logue died of overdoses, allegedly due to the Ghostface Gang's operation. Their families posted their obituaries, but there was one more death linked to the gang, Dylan Jones.
Dylan Jones overdosed as a result of methamphetamine. With each overdose we respond to, especially the ones that result in death, we see the pain that it causes on the immediate family. People like David Young that bring narcotics to our community need to be held accountable. We need to send a message.
We're now joined by Chad and Ann Fry, who lost their son Dylan Jones to a drug overdose. The drugs he purchased and his death are directly linked to the Ghostface Gangsters. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Your son worked with you in the landscaping business, right? And how was that? You're working, I'm working with my son.
We had a very close relationship, and we became like dad and friends, so it was really special.
Wonderful, wonderful. Your son had 2 kids. He had Chase and Jackson, 2 little boys. How was that, watching your son become a father?
It was amazing. All the stuff that I had told him, you know, that you'll realize this when you grow up. Finally, when he saw his kids grow up, he said, you know, I understand what you're talking about. And that's probably the most special moment I have of me and my son. Just the last year and a half of Dylan's life was amazing enough. There's so much of what could have been.
And you're remembering all the good stuff. He knows that. He grew up in the house. We celebrated Adam's life. Like you two have such great memories of Dylan. Exactly.
We celebrate his birthday. We try to stay happy and upbeat about his life and not think about what happened or the bad times or anything like that.
And that's important for you, but it's important for the kids too.
Yes.
Walk us through how you found out about Dylan's death.
My youngest son called me and said that Dylan wasn't awake. He wanted to know what to do. I said, well, check his door and make sure he's awake. And when he opened the door, that's when he found Dylan. It's a sound I'll never forget. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. You're good.
He said, Mom, I think something's wrong. You need to get over here right now. Dylan is blue on the floor, and he dropped the phone and screamed.
My heart goes out to you, and I know exactly what you're going through.
What would you say to other parents out there that may be struggling with addiction as well in their home?
Never give up.
No, don't give up hope.
The last year and a half or 2 years to watch him
fought
fight
real hard.
to not do drugs made me realize that, I mean, it's not as easy as you think from looking on the outside. I told Dylan when he was clean every day how proud I was of him. And that I just felt like, as a father, that was the best thing I could do, was tell him, I'm proud of you, I'm proud of you, I'm proud of you. And
I'm with you in the fight.
Yep.
Which
Yes,
you
sir.
were.
Thank you.
Now, you found out this gang was operating right inside your small town. What was it like to find out how big that operation really was?
It was surprising, and it was even more surprising to know that the main player, Rachel Bird, was our next-door neighbor. We had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
And
she lived right next door to
She
you.
lived right behind us, yes. You would have never suspected that a large drug operation was running right behind our house, no.
If that dirtbag was watching tonight, this young guy, what would you say?
There's better ways to make a dollar than to, destroy families and people's lives and, like my son.
Somebody watching this show tonight knows where that guy is, and those tattoos are so easy to identify. We're going to put that big white hot spotlight of America's Most Wanted on this dirtbag. We'll do our part. You hang in there.
Thank you.
That bust was huge, resulting in 76 indictments of dangerous drug traffickers. But it won't be complete until we get David Young. He's a dangerous criminal with no regard for human life. Young could easily be involved with another drug trafficking operation, doing the same exact thing somewhere else right now. Take a good look at the face on your screen. David Young is 43 years old with brown hair and brown eyes. He's 6 feet tall and when last seen, weighed around 170 pounds. He's gone by the name Chaos in the past, and he's covered in tattoos, including the entire left side of his face. There's possibly a bird or a spider web below his left eye, a symbol above that same eye, some sort of star near his right eye, and what appears to be a child's face on the right side of his neck. Young's been on the run since December 2022, and most of his criminal activity has been in Brunswick, Georgia. But he also has ties to Jessup, Georgia, where he grew up, and Phoenix, Arizona. Young is considered armed and very dangerous. If you see him, do not approach him. And if you have any information on where he may be, please contact us immediately at 866-AMW-TIPS or by visiting us at amwtips.com.
Next, years of building tension between a man and his ex-girlfriend's son ends in a matter of seconds. Police need your help right now. But first, can you help us solve this crime alert? At least 2 thieves, maybe more, stealing Chevy parts in the middle of the night from an Omaha, Nebraska auto shop. It happened January 24th near 90th and Military Road. Watch as the dirtbags drive up in their white Chevy pickup and begin to strip 3 trucks of over $6,000 worth of parts. Mirrors, catalytic converters, steering columns, radios, anything they can get their scummy hands on. Look at them snooping around, loading tons of stolen parts into their truck before taking off from the scene. While we don't have a good shot of their faces, perhaps their truck looks familiar. It's a white Chevy Silverado HD, extended cab, long bed, with some striping or possible scratches on the passenger and possibly also the driver's side of the truck. So if you recognize this truck or know someone selling Chevy parts in your area of Omaha, send us your tips. 866-AMW-TIPS or amwtips.com. You can run, but you can't hide. Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. You know, one of my main goals here is not just tracking down fugitives, but using our resources to find missing children and help get them safely back to their families. So have you seen this little boy, Terry Lee Boswell? He's been missing since July 2022. Now, Terry is 5 years old, brown hair and brown eyes. He's 3 feet 4 inches tall and was last known to weigh around 50 pounds. He loves dinosaurs and other animals. He was last seen in Melbourne, Arkansas, and he could also be in Springfield or Fairgrove, Missouri, or somewhere in Michigan or in Spartanburg, South Carolina. So if you've seen little Terry, call us right now, 866-AMW-TIPS, or go to amwtips.com. He was allegedly abducted by his mother, who has a federal felony warrant out for her arrest for interference with visitation. Let's bring Terry home to his loving family. Cal, it's over to you.
After years of constant conflict between a man and his ex-girlfriend's son, on the night of October 18th, 2022, things came to an abrupt and violent head. Let's see how it played out.
Sharon always smiling. He was a mama's baby. We were very close. He met Dottie at a club, and they was in a great relationship. And after a couple of months, he found out that she was pregnant with his son, Tony, and he was happy. After their son, Tony, was born, Sharon and Dottie moved in together. And he took in her son, Tejan, as his own. Years later, things changed between Dottie and Sharon. They were having problems and decided to break up. When they separated, they were still living in the same house. Sharon didn't want to leave his son, Tony. Dottie was very angry with Sharon after the breakup. There was a lot of tension in the house. Tejan seemed to grow angry towards Sharon. He loved his mother. Sharon and Tejan get in it because of Dottie. Tejan also allegedly told Sharon that his time is numbered.
On the evening of October 18th, 2022, we heard several pops, which we immediately recognized as gunshots.
One of the calls that dispatch center received was from a female who identified herself as Dorothea Russ.
I need an ambulance right now. Come on, breathe!
The officers that first arrived on scene found a male in his mid-40s laying on the ground with several gunshot wounds.
The victim's girlfriend was standing right next to him during the incident. The victim is Sharon Clark.
My job was to start combing through our surveillance camera footage. Watching this incident unfold, the suspect walks up on Sharon Clark, pulls out a handgun from his waistband. The suspect fires one round. You can see Sharon Clark react and then take off running, and the suspect started chasing him, firing him as he's running away.
Dottie called me and said, Sharon has been shot. I said, what do you mean Sharon had been shot? And the nurse called me and told me Sharon did not make it. I feel that I lost everything.
Dorothea Russ was questioned at the hospital and asked if she knew who this possible shooter was. She said she didn't know at the time. But in reviewing the surveillance camera footage, I actually observed her turn around face to face with the suspect. No doubt in my mind that she knew who the suspect was at the time. I sent a clip to the detectives that were interviewing Dorothea Russ and asked them to show her that video. And she said, after watching the surveillance footage, I'm absolutely sure that was my son, Tejan Gill, that shot Sharon Clark. I believe that she was lying to protect her son, but when she was confronted with the evidence, she knew she had to come clean. So Dottie had told us during the interviews that Tejan may have had some type of issue with the way that Sharon was treating Dottie more towards the end of their relationship. So all the anger that he had towards Sharon had finally come to a head that night. This was a deliberate attack on Sharon Clark. I want to be able to give Antoinette closure for losing her son.
Sharon deserved justice. If you knew him, you would say the same thing.
We're joined now by Detective Sean Weaver of the Hagerstown Police Department. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, John. Now, Hagerstown is a small community. And in small communities, oftentimes the suspect knows the victim. How did that inform your investigation?
In every homicide I've investigated, it's always been some type of a connection between the suspect and the victim. So that always gives us a starting point, especially in this situation. We knew there was a connection.
Now, he's only 19 years old. What are some common characteristics of younger fugitives on the run?
Fortunately, they make decisions on a whim.
Yeah.
In this case, using a gun to allegedly commit murder, and they don't take in consideration the consequences and the repercussions of their actions until it's too late.
What do you think he's thinking about when he's running?
What have I done?
What have I done, and how do I get away with it?
Yep.
Where do you think he is, and is somebody helping him stay out there?
Well, he's young. I would say he's not doing this on his own. He has to have help somewhere. We just, at this point in the investigation, don't know where that is.
How big of a danger is Tajon to the public?
The suspect allegedly commit murder, and there's no reason not to consider him armed and dangerous. If he's done it once, there's nothing to say he won't do it again.
Detective Weaver, we're going to help you get this guy.
Thanks. I
Thank you,
hope the next time I see you, you got somebody in custody.
You and me both.
Keep up your good work.
Thank you, sir.
We really need to get justice for Sharon Clark and the family left behind. Now, Sharon's mother, Antoinette Clark, has been working hard to keep this story in the headlines, and she joins us here tonight. We're happy to have you. Very nice meeting you.
Likewise.
Hate to meet you under these circumstances. Again, I always say we belong to the same club.
Yes, thank you.
Buried a child.
Yes.
Tough.
What made him such a special person?
He was very open-hearted. He took care of many people. Anytime someone called him, he always said, I got you.
Mm.
That's the kind of person Sharon was. He's very loving.
Lots of people loved your son.
Yes.
Lots
yes.
of people loved him.
Yes.
Now, Tajon, have you ever met him? Do you know what he was like?
Yes, I met him when he was a little kid. He was a wonderful kid. He was very happy. He was proud that Sharon was his stepfather.
Any red flags that something like this could have happened?
No, I had no idea that that was what happened. I was very shocked. My son took care of him when his father wasn't around. You know, he made sure he made it to school. He finished school.
What if he's watching this? What would you say to him?
I just need to know why.
Mm-hmm.
Why he did this to my son when my son took care of him. I need to know why.
You just need that question answered.
Yes, I need him to turn himself in.
Hopefully the next time I see you, we'll have that guy right here and you'll get some answers.
Thank you.
You deserve some answers. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Brave lady. God bless you.
Thank you.
Tajon Gill is 6'2", and when last seen weighed 150 pounds. He's 22 years old with black hair and brown eyes. He's wanted for first-degree murder. Authorities say that while he had locks the last time he was seen, it's likely he's changed his appearance. The crime happened in Hagerstown, Maryland. About 1 month later, authorities received information that Gill was staying with someone in the Chambersburg area in Pennsylvania, but they were not able to locate him at the time. Authorities believe he could be anywhere in the United States. If you see Tajon Gill, call us immediately at 866-AMW-TIPS or go to amwtips.com.
When we come back, we'll review all of the dangerous fugitives you saw tonight. But first, police are on the lookout for a sneaky masked thief who's been caught on camera not once, but twice, and is still on the loose. Check out this bold guy. Back in August, as he pries open a gas station window. He's certainly familiar with this technique, and he's got the gear to prove it. While he walks away empty-handed, it's clear that he knows exactly what he's doing and how to do it. Because the next day, he's at it again. Watch as he sneaks behind the counter at this convenience store, keeping a literal low profile as he rifles through the register, taking $2,000 from the office and around $500 taken from the cash register. Take a long, hard look at this face. Does it look familiar? If you have any information about this crime or this sneaky suspect in South Carolina, contact us right now. 866-AMW-TIPS or at amwtips.com. Three masked men with guns rushed the door of this home in Auburn, Washington at 2 in the morning, yelling Seattle police, before violently throwing themselves into the door, attempting to kick it down. What they weren't expecting was the quick-thinking homeowner who's armed and starts firing shots back at them from inside, sending them running into the night. Police in Auburn believe it may be part of a larger crime pattern targeting Asian families in the area. They've made one arrest, Devontae Leach, here in the black hoodie, but the other two scumbags are still at large. And we really need your help to identify and track them down. Take a good look. Do either of these men look familiar? Two black males, one in their 20s or 30s, at least 6 feet tall. If you have any information, call us or go to our site immediately.
Let's take one last look at the fugitives we need your help to find. Remember, we can't do this without you. So if you have any tips about the cases you saw tonight, please do the right thing and call us now.
Edgardo, a.k.a. Eddie Luis Perez, is wanted for unlawful flight to avoid prosecution for felony murder. He's 41 years old with black hair and brown eyes. He's 5'6" when last seen, about 140 to 160 pounds. Authorities say he likes to work out and may belong to a gym. His last known location was Tijuana, Mexico, and he's fluent in Spanish and is very skilled at charming his victims before stealing their identities.
David Young is 43 years old, 6 feet tall, and the left side of his face is covered in tattoos. There's possibly a bird or spider web below his left eye, a symbol above that same eye, and some sort of star near his right eye, and what appears to be a child's face on the right side of his neck. He's got brown hair and brown eyes and weighed about 170 pounds the last time anyone saw him. He's considered armed and very dangerous. He's wanted for conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute and to distribute a controlled substance.
Tajon Gill is 6'2" and when last seen weighed around 150 pounds. He's 22 years old with black hair and brown eyes. He's wanted for first-degree murder. Authorities say that while he had locks the last time he was seen, it's likely he has changed his appearance. If you see any of these fugitives, don't approach them, call us at 866-AMW-TIPS or go to amwtips.com. Now, coming up next week on America's Most Wanted, 23-year-old Sandy Lee was a young Vietnamese immigrant who had a bright future ahead of her. So when authorities discovered her body, everyone was shocked. But while the answers would eventually turn up, one of the suspects allegedly responsible for her death would not. Can you help us get her family the justice they so deserve?
I'm Callahan Walsh.
And I'm John Walsh. Thanks very much for watching. And remember, you can make a difference.